Now, you know that the basic condition of the self, or the egoic self, is one of a very deep-seated sense of lack, of not enough. The mind itself tries to fill that lack that it knows and feels almost continuously, except for brief moments when something has been put in there, and then for a moment the lack is not felt. Never lasts long, so it looks for the next thing, and it looks to the future, it looks to add to me, to fill that hole that is always there, where I'm not myself, I'm not complete. And one of the main areas where it looks to fulfill that lack is in the area of relationship, the other person, he or she, the one who is going to complete me, make me whole. He or she is the one. And then, when that happens, the entire focus of the self becomes focused on one other person. So almost an obsessive attachment forms to that image, that form of that person. And that is called falling in love. And sometimes, if you're lucky, the other person feels the same about you. That you are going to complete him or her also. And of course that is great. You both feel that you are going to complete each other. And then probably you will want to get married, sign a contract, just to make sure that for the rest of your life you are going to complete me and you're not going to leave me. Because that would have dire consequences if you broke that contract and left me. And then you marry, this is where the films end, the director says cut here. But life goes on, and you marry, and after, perhaps even during the honeymoon, the first doubt comes into your mind whether this actually works. Whether the other is going to live up to that enormous task of fulfilling and completing you. Who could live up to that? And nobody can. And then the lack that was covered up by the temporary delusion that this person was fulfilling you re-emerges. But now through your mind you attach that to the other person and say, he or she is the cause for what I feel. You're feeling again the basic egoic condition. You're feeling it more strongly now because for a little while it was covered up by the love relationship. And so gradually the love periodically turns into hate.
think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. Save us from ourselves.
Stop working. It's a trap. It's a fucking trap. 5 days on, 2 days off. 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 But how long does this last till you're fucking dead? Philosophize about our own existence and actually fucking evolve properly. Instead of course it is, it's slavery, but we've got to get our own accommodation and food. Those are fucking is. Isn't some illusion they gave up slavery for morality? They did some fucking maths. Man, look at this, we've got to look after this. We've got to feed them, we've got to clothe them, they get sick, we've got to fix them, we've got to give them somewhere to live. I've worked it out. I can just give them $2.50 now. I'll tell them to fuck off. Fucking brilliant. By the way, you lot, you're free to go. We'll see you back here at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Should be 2 days on, 5 days off. That way, everyone can have a job. There's not enough fucking work. 2 days. Who wouldn't do 2 days? I'd do fucking 2 days. It's common decency. And that's simple fucking common decency. I'm on the earth, alright, fucking 2 days, I'm in. What's better than 2 days? What's better than 2 fucking days as soon as you have your first day? What's tomorrow? Last fucking day, mate.
That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost.
I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together. I can't stop thinking that it makes a tremendous difference where you are born. That I could be one of those children living in the favelas of Rio. I could be a child starving in Somalia, or a victim of war in the Middle East, or a beggar in India. I am only a child, yet I know if all the money spent on war was spent on finding environmental answers, ending poverty, and finding treaties, what a wonderful place this earth would be. At school, you teach us how to behave in the world. You teach us not to fight with others, to work things out, to respect others, to clean up our mess, not to hurt other creatures, to share, not be greedy. Then why do you go out and do the things you tell us not to do?
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness.
Your entire life consists of the present moment and only the present moment ever. Now, most people in some abstract way, they know that, but they cannot sense or feel the truth of that. And I'd like to invite you to actually sense and feel the truth of what I'm saying, even if there's a great philosopher, he or she cannot argue with this statement, that your entire life unfolds in the present moment. That's all you ever have. Most people don't live as if this were true. They live as if the opposite almost were true, as if the future moment were more important always than the next one. That happens because of excessive identification with thinking. So if you can just come to this realization, well, this is all I ever have. This is undoubtedly true. There is nothing else ever. And when you fully realize that, an alertness arises in you. You become alert to the power of life itself in this present moment, which consists of, yes, it consists of sense perceptions, what we perceive here, visually, what we see, what we hear, the lights, the totality of the room. And beyond that which we perceive in this room, is there anything else that we could call the present moment? Well, if you look deeply enough, yes, there is also the inner energy field in your body that you can actually feel, that you're alive in your legs, your arms, your feet. That's also part of the present moment, to sense the energy field that pervades the physical body. That's also something you can feel. So there's external sense perceptions, and there's the aliveness inside your body. And if you're totally in thinking, you can't feel that at all. You don't feel alive. So you begin to inhabit the entire body. This becomes part of your experience of the present moment. So you have externals, and you suddenly appreciate the aliveness of all the things that surround you. Everything is vitally alive, and you miss that if you're totally trapped in the mental noise all the time. And the next thing that you notice about the present moment is really at the deeper level of the present moment. It's not something that arises in your consciousness, but if you go deeper even into the present moment, what you encounter is the most incredible secret of human life, which is you encounter the fact that at the bottom of it all, you are conscious. That is the essential identity of all beings. And if you touch that in yourself, then you can live from that place and be not only a more productive human being, but also a more peaceful human being, because then you no longer contribute to the conflict in this world, because the conflict is only created by all those humans who don't know that level in themselves. Addictions, it's the addiction to thinking. Can't stop thinking. It's like can't stop drinking, can't stop smoking, can't stop eating, can't stop thinking. Thinking is the greater addiction than any of these. Because the thought wants more of your consciousness, it wants your attention, it wants to grow. Once you know that, you can allow thought to arise without following it where it wants you to go, which is into another bigger thought and a bigger one.
asked creative people over the years, what is creativity? They say, I don't know, it's just something that comes up naturally. That's what they say. They really don't know. Creativity is taking known elements and putting them together in different ways. A major problem with the world's people today is they believe that human values and behavior and decisions are made within a human being. Actually, this is not the case. It is the environment they're reared. All your values are inculcated by environment, the books you read, the motion pictures you see, the role models you have. Therefore, human beings are not, I repeat this, are not responsible for their values. They are learned. We have to seek information that's relevant to people, not information that's based upon opinion, folkways, hand-down values, or feelings of good and bad. All those feelings of good, bad, right, wrong are all learned. Everything is learned. We reflect our culture. Erroneous values can cause unbelievable suffering amongst people. Only through education can we change human values, not the election of this governor or that governor. It isn't killing people that solves problems. It's outgrowing values that no longer work.
She was a wonderful woman. She was the most ruthless Monopoly player I have ever known in my life. She understood that acquisition is the key to survival, that money and property is how you keep score. So she would buy everything she landed on, mortgage all of that to the hilt, and buy everything else until eventually, inevitably, my grandmother would become master of the board. Eventually, I would land on her property once too often and have to give her my last dollar. She would take my last dollar and then say to me, "Don't worry, Johnny, one day you'll learn how to play the game." One summer, I played Monopoly almost every day with a kid named Steve who lived kind of kitty corner from our house. And gradually, as I was playing that summer, I figured out how to play the game. And by the time the summer was over, when that fall rolled around and I was ready to play my grandmother again, I was ready to do whatever it took to beat her. I was ready to cheat if I needed. I took everything she had. I destroyed her financially and psychologically. I watched her give her last dollar and quit in utter defeat. And then she had one more thing to teach me. At the end of the game is when the great lesson comes. And here it is. Now, when the game is over, it all goes back in the box. All that money, all those houses, all those hotels, and all the stuff that you've acquired, it's all going back in the box. So you have to ask yourself, in view of this one great truth, how do you play the game?
When you meet people that are celebrating their life, you want to be around them. You want to learn from them. You want to do business with them. You want to hire them. It is a belief in yourself that you bring value to the human race, no matter what your current condition, title, or stature is. When we feel like we're not enough, we chase external validation and external objects to try to tell us we're enough. You are enough. I'll tell you, I made a pledge as a therapist to love all human beings no matter what they've done. Because deep down inside, I found that every human being just wants to be loved. Even if they're tough, even if they're scary, even if they're vicious, you get them in the right position at the right time, they'll tell you the truth. They just want to be loved. You know who they want the love from the most? Not their moms, not their dads. They want to be able to look in the mirror and love themselves. And if you can figure that out, then you're going somewhere. But you cannot feel sorry for yourself. When you feel sorry for yourself, you will wither. But there's a contradiction to feeling sorry for yourself. It's the opposite extreme. It's what I call bullying yourself, beating yourself up, being your own enemy, and telling yourself that all those predictions, those negative opinions, they're true, they're right, you're a washed up failure, you're not going to amount to anything. You cannot afford to pity yourself. You cannot afford to bully yourself. You have to love yourself. Because the last lesson that I'm going to share with you today, that is, I'm going to teach you what the real prison is. It's not surrounded by barbed wire or electrical fences. The real prisons do not have guards. The real prison's up here. We all have a mind that chatters. So often won't stop chattering. Do you know where your salvation is? It's not outside these walls.